father was on post at his
For people who don't know, what does that mean on post?
on post meaning that he was a security at his dressing room. And I didn't know who he was, but he performed, and he did such a beautiful job. And later on, when we was headed home, the disc jockey on the radio station, I believe it was WWRL, had played his song, and he said, "So nice, we're gonna play it twice." And I started reflecting back, not so much of his performance, but his dedication and what he was saying about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
So even though you were security, he was an entertainer, but he certainly wasn't entertaining about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was he?
Not at that time. He,
Right.
he had. I think the big hit he had then was "Show Me." "Show Me a Man That's Got a Good Woman," that later was recorded by Tom Jones, Andy Gibbs, and others recorded it. But I was hooked. And one of my characteristics is I know I'm a loyal person. And once I like you, I like you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I just liked him, and so I started, reading up on his history, following his history, contacting him, and just wherever he could. I was a young boy, but wherever he was, I was trying to go to see him again and again and again.
Has anyone ever told you you're so intense? You just...
Well, I do it to myself. I don't affect others with it.
Mm.
I traveled, as a young child to different places. I remember once Lloyd Price had a supper club or something, and I went to see him, and they wouldn't let me in because I was underage, and I was so hurt about it. I said, just Joe Tex, but they wouldn't let me in, and I said, one day I'm gonna come back to this place. But he didn't have the place years later. It was in Long Island, New York at the time, and but I would travel by myself. I was just as they say, Moses in search of knowledge. I was in search of some good music, and
I'm glad we're taking this turn because you have siblings. You're not an only child.
No, I'm not. I have 8 brothers and 1 sister.
So, I almost cracked a joke that I was going to say maybe you was traveling, you searching for more than knowledge. You searching for a meal and the fight between. I'm just joking.
No, sir.
But you had 8 brothers and sisters. You were the youngest.
No, I'm not the youngest. No,
What are you?
I'm 4. I'm actually number 4.
Number 4.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I know.
Lance, I've known you for over 20 years, and you continuously amaze me. So many different things that you, have a history of, and you remind me of Brother Zeppelin Muhammad Ali, because I like music too, but I don't recall, being in search of it like that. Even though I went to concerts, but I went to concerts with other people. They used to come to Birmingham and perform out in Wrigley Field, not Wrigley Field, but what we used to call ours. We had a field too, but I can't think of what.
Well, we had a theater that was very close to our home, the RKO.
But you're from New York. That's
Yes,
New York is the testing ground of the nation, isn't it?
So a lot of entertainers came through there. So I would see a lot of them, and I know they said.
Well, what did your parents think when you was running?
Since I came from a large family, a lot of times I don't think they even miss me. I was in a lot of areas that they would be surprised to know today that
But one of the other things that I want to commend your family upbringing about, that you were never one of those smokers and drinkers. And that's
never smoked in my life, never drank in my life, and never did any drugs, Had a one weakness, which was women, which, that was a drug too, I guess you could say. But that was the only weakness.
But I wouldn't necessarily call that a weakness.
No, I don't either, but, just for the record.
Okay. Well, my dear brothers and sisters, we're talking to Lance Shabazz. I don't know if I want to couch some of his answers or not, but we're trying to learn a little bit about Joe Tex, Yusuf Aziz.
Yes, Joe Tex to me, as I said, was very underrated. He was an excellent performer, and there was so many, he had the Joe Tex Review, the Joe Tex Show, and he would carry a lot of people, Linda Jones, who did Hypnotize, she collapsed at the Apollo, she was opening up for him. There's just so many.
She collapsed?
She collapsed.
Did she die?
Yes, she died. 1972, she had passed away, but she was a chronic smoker as well. There was Dorothy Moore. I mean, there was just so many entertainers, even Stevie Wonder, all of them performed with the Joe Tex Review back in the day.
So even though New York was this big city, but you would travel, it has all these boroughs, and you would travel to the Apollo.
I would travel. I saw him only at the Apollo once, but I would travel wherever he was. If he was in Brooklyn, I saw him in Brooklyn. I went to see him in Connecticut. I saw him in Atlantic City at Club Harlem. It was several places that I saw.
So what kind of relationship did you develop with him?
No, I was just basically very respectful. As I got older, after the Honorable Elijah Muhammad passed and he had went back into show business, I had a serious conversation with him, and he actually told me that it was Wallace Muhammad, the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who encouraged him to go back to, just for the audience to know that he had given up and became a minister for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in 1972. After his record, I Got You, had sold 3 million. He was at the height of his career, actually, but he walked away from show business to become a minister for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And when Wallace Muhammad assumed the leadership in 75, Joe Tex told me that Wallace told him, "Why did not a gift that Allah had blessed you with?" And I really believe that when he went back to the show business, sometimes when you're not used to an environment, you fall heavy. He walked away when he was at the height of his career. He walked away, and not only that, he brought his Norman Trasher and others.
So that's how your relationship with Norman in Detroit?
No, not Norman in Detroit, but who worked in his band. Was a road manager, and others came to accept the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Norman, who was this?
The one he's in Detroit. I know he was in the music business. Norman Thrasher.
Was the Midnighters?
I think they had a group because he used to be around the minister a lot.
Right. Well,
that's the same Norman?
Just same Norman then.
Okay,
but these brothers came to Islam, and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I believe that Joe Tex really believed in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I heard him preach it. I believed he believed it. And when you fall in love with someone and you give your all, that you forsake the show business, you forsake everything. Here's the man that told us that his wife, he wanted his wife to come to Muhammad, and she didn't come to Muhammad, so he gave an option. She gave him an option. Either you leave Muhammad and come with me, or you stay with Muhammad and go on with Muhammad, one or the other. And he told her, "Assalamu alaikum," and he walked out and never looked back.
Isn't this the same wife that had some relationships with James Brown? Is it?
No, he was married a few times. The wife you're speaking of was B. Ford. B. Ford was the one who did "You've Got the Power" in 1961. But no, that's a different woman.
But James Brown and he had some kind of...
They have several, there's many stories with James Brown. As I said, he recorded Joe Tex's song. Joe Tex accused him when his hit song Skinny Legs was out that he was banned, and James Brown had a few radio stations, and he said that he wouldn't play his records, but James Brown had refuted that. There was also another story that Joe Tex would use James Brown's Please, Please, Please Act, and he would use the cape and everything, and James Brown was in the audience one day, and Joe was doing a comedy routine with it. He said, "Please, please, please get me out of this cape." And James didn't like it, and they said that they had words, and he actually pulled the gun out on him. This is one of the stories that was said. So
Did you ever ask him about that?
No, I didn't. I didn't ask him about that.
But wasn't it ironic, because many people don't know that James Brown, even though he didn't go all the way, but he was influenced by the Honorable Elijah
Yes,
Muhammad.
he was. Well, there's a clip where he speaks about that. Everybody should go to Muhammad. They should go to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And Joe Tex even spoke about that. He had pledged $10,000 to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And when Minister Farrakhan went to pick up the money, that they slammed the door in his face. So, but
James Brown.
That's what Joe Tex had said, that James Brown slammed the door in his face. But no, James Brown loved the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. There's another clip when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad passed in '75 where he said that we lost the only independent leader that we ever had. Yeah. He was speaking on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
We have writings of him in Muhammad Speak newspaper where he talked. And we heard on his radio show, he acknowledged the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, he loved the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. James Brown was one who actually lived in Queens for a period of time, and the house that would later be purchased by the secretary that was in New York, Maceo Haziz, James Brown would hand out the albums out there. So he was in that area. In that area, Queens had quite a few celebrities, Brooke Benton, Count Basie. There were a lot of them that lived in that same section over there, within walking distance from where I grew up.
Now, let me say to you, because you seem as enthusiastic to talk about any subject matter that you
not
really,
any subject, but I just that I lived this life as with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But that's so what my passion comes across.
But I was going to make that parallel. I don't mean any subject, but I wanted to say as almost as passionate as you do with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You're